Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and episode 2 of Understanding Art, or Getting to Grips with Art. And what we're going to do in today's video is finish off setting up the preferences, and then I'm going to introduce you to the power of local editing. And we're going to do so in a very, very, very simple way. Okay, let's do it. Okie dokie. Right, so I've got this shot here of a tree against a blue sky with a few wispy clouds in it. And what we want to do is to come to our preferences panel, and all I'm going to say is this. Right, I think I mentioned it slightly before. We want to change the output directory to same as input image. Okay, and if you're on GIMP, you want to have that clicked, and then it will automatically open this image as a TIFF, hopefully in GIMP. GIMP just drives me nuts. Or we can open as a custom command line for Photoshop. Ignore this Adobe Photoshop installation directory because it doesn't work on a Mac. Yeah, it might work on Windows, but it don't work on a Mac. On a Mac, you just need to type open space -b space open quotes com .adobe .photoshop with a capital P and close your quotes, and that is just about it. You can see I'm in single editor tab mode. If you change that, you'll need to restart it. That's just about it. Notice on the clipping indicators, the threshold for clipping indication is 253, okay, for the highlight. So that means that anything brighter than 253, in other words 254 or 255, will show with a clipped indicator in the highlights, and threshold for clip shadows 8. Please note 8. So people who use Lightroom and other things, just do yourself a favour and stop crushing your blacks down to bloody 0, will you? Everything else, just leave as normal. Image processing, back to the first video, we made our art base, which will be automatically applied, and just leave everything else at 0. Dynamic profile rules, I don't use them. File browser, yada yada, I just leave that as default. Color management, set up where all your profiles are, and that's it. And performance, just leave as is and click OK. So when you've done all that lot, this image, I'm not going to bother doing anything to it for the second. And if I just click the little artist palette and paintbrush icon down here and just wait and see what happens, there you go, it opens up in Photoshop like a blooming miracle. Isn't that just so? It's like magic, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. Yeah, right. So let's come back to art, and let's just have a look at something serious for a moment. Now, if we come to the local editing tab, you can see, because we came here before, didn't we, and used the smoothing. We're not going to be using the smoothing because we don't want to smooth anything. So I'm going to come to colour and tone, turn it on, click colour and tone to open it up. Now then, anybody who's picked the Mac build up that I was using, when they click here in mode, they will see a huge long list here. I've actually trimmed the list down to what should be there and what Windows users and Linux users see as normal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you into to a very powerful set of adjustments that you can bring to bear in art, because let's face it, most of the modules in art work in the same way that RawTherapee works. And once I got used to Darktable, I stopped using RawTherapee because Darktable gave us the potential for masking on any particular module, or multiple instances of the same module. You could bring different masks to bear. The only way you can sort of approach that multiple instance type of workflow inside of RawTherapee is colour correction regions, if that's what they still call it. And RawTherapee's just had an update, 5.11, and I've just been playing with it, and it is quite good, but honestly, it's just as complicated as it was before. And so here we are, still looking at art. And within this sort of standard perceptual separate RGB channels, HSL factors, we've got the normal sorts of adjustments you can think of, but the only thing is we've got masking on absolutely anything we do in here, and we've also got multiple instances, so we can add different iterations and we can take them away, obviously, but we've always got the ability to mask as long as we're in here. However, there is a bit of a problem in the fact you're quite limited in what you can do in terms of all the other art equivalents to the RawTherapee modules, and they are not like the Darktable modules because you can't employ masking on them. So this is quite good, but it'd be nice if we could bring other tools to bear and have masks on them in this, what is, to all intents and purposes, RawTherapee's colour correction regions. Yeah, well, here's the thing, you can. And it's called CTL Scripting, which is Colour Transform Language Scripting. I'm not a coder, I'm not a scripter. Not in the bloody slightest. But if you come over to, let's go to the old interwebs, new features, support for CTL scripts in the art software forum over on pixels.us. Alrighty, and Alberto, he's a top guy, is Alberto, my God. He's given us a repository of CTL scripts. And if we click that link, we come to here. And here is a list of a lot of CTL scripts. Like I say, you've got these already in a form if you've downloaded the Mac build that I was linking to. But all you need to do to get hold of these scripts, if you haven't got them, if you're on Windows or you're on another Mac version or whatever, or you're on Linux, is while we're over here in Alberto's Bitbucket, yeah, we can click on downloads, and we can quite literally download this repository by clicking there. And what you end up with is a big long list of CTL scripts, and you can quite literally put them anywhere. I've actually got the folder on my desktop, believe it or believe it not, just to show you. Let's click on Finder, and we'll go to File, New Finder window, and I will click on Desktop, and there it is, Art CTL Scripts, and there they all are. What we're going to do is to come back to Art. We click where it says Mode, and we've got standard, perceptual, separate RGB channels, HSL factors, LUT. Okay, right, now we all know what a LUT is. Yeah, it's a lookup table, isn't it? Yeah, but where it says none here, what the LUT file is actually referring to is a CTL script. So I can go in here and I can choose, let's just go choose tone curve and click open, and this is where it gets really mad. Let's say I wanted to darken the sky, but I didn't want to darken the tree. So let's go and darken everything. Yeah. Then what we can do, and this is why this whole sort of workflow in this local editing tab is just so valuable. We can come and add a parametric mask to this, and I only want it on blue, so I'm going to select an equalizer based on hue, and all we're going to do is, if you want, you can show the mask, and all I'm going to do is pull down on the red end, and you can see I'm starting to leave the tree behind. If I move this over into the sort of yellowy greens, okay, and sort of try pulling all this lot down, and let's turn the mask off so we can see what's happening in the picture. Let's just swing over here, and you can see the trees actually getting lighter. Okay, so really and truly what I'm only affecting is the blues. Okay, rather like that. So if I go up to here and turn off the whole thing, there's our original image and there's our new image, and of course I can just go and scoop that over into Photoshop, and there we go. How mad is this? You know, I mean, it is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So let's minimize that, and let's go and explore what we can do using another image. Okay, so we'll come back to the file browser, and what am I going to do? I think I am going to come to this shot up at Roscommon, and we are, first of all, I'm going to show you another little trick. Okay, let's come back to the exposure module. So just make sure we're in our default art base, rather like that. Okay, if we come to the exposure tab, we need to make sure that we've got highlight construction with reconstruction. We can have it balanced, or what I usually say is color propagation. But here's the trick I wanted to show you. Tone curves. Activate the tone curves, and of course they've done nothing because I haven't touched this tone curve, and I haven't opened up tone curve 2. But all I want to do is go to base curve and change it from linear to smooth highlights roll off. Look at that sky. Look at that sky. Let's go back to linear again. Or let's go back to smooth highlights roll off. God, that is so reminiscent of just activating the Filmic RGB module in Darktable. It's spooky. It's spooky. Right, so I'm going to minimize tone curves now because I don't want to do anything with the tone curve. I'm going to activate the tone equalizer, and all I'm going to do initially is to check show tonal map. And now we've got our blacks, shadows, midtones, highlights and whites all color coded, and these color coded dots translate into these different colored areas on the image. Alrighty, so we can fundamentally see what slider is going to affect what area. So if I now uncheck show tonal map, let's go tackle the whites first, and let's sort of bring the white down a bit. Let's bring the highlights down a bit, rather like that. And then what I'll do is I'll lift up the blacks, because there are some blacks in there. We'll lift up the shadows, and we'll lift up the midtones. Alright, rather like that. Now, does the pivot do much? Yes. It sort of exacerbates it a little bit, or tones it down a little bit. And regularization, we want to leave that roughly where it is for. And you know, you show tonal map again, and you can see we've changed the area that is being controlled by the whites. Alright, so there we go. So that is fundamentally where we've got to so far for, if you like, tone mapping. Alright, globally across the image. So now the fun starts. First of all, I think what we'll do is go over to white balance and shift it from as shot to a little bit on the warmer side. Okay, rather like that. I think that's looking all right. Not too much, because I want to warm the front of the image up as well as make it a bit brighter and a bit more contrasting. So, how do you think we're going to achieve that goal? We are going to come into local editing. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is probably going to blow your mind. So we are going to first of all activate color tone correction, alright, which is Art's answer to RawTherapee's color correction regions, but on steroids. And we're going to come into mode, and we are going to click there so we can see the contextual menu, and I am going to choose LUT. And where it says LUT file, what we need to do is insert one of those CTL scripts. So we're going to click in there where it says none, and here are our art CTL scripts, and I'm going to look for LumiQ, and I'm going to click open. Alright, and look what we've got again. We've actually got the equalizer, haven't we? Yeah, the tone equalizer, which we've just been working in, but now we've got it in a colour tone correction where we can bring a mask to bear. This is freaky. Is it or is it not? Yep, right. So what we want to do is to basically thump up the midtones. Yep. And might thump up the shadows a little bit. And you'll notice this is going all across the image. And I might just go and thump up the highlights a little bit. And now you can see I'm pumping contrast into the whole image just at the moment. But here's the thing. I can come to area mask. Alright. And we open up area mask, turn it on. And guess what we can do inside area mask? We can go and add a graduated filter. Now you can see that graduated filter has left the adjustment at the top of the image, which isn't where I want it, and it's taken it off the bottom of the image, which is where I want it. So all we've got to do is let's scroll down to angle and just take it from 0, which is off at the bottom and on at the top, and just go and spin it through 180 degrees. And I can now go and pick that graduated filter up, and I can sort of put it about there, and you can see now him just close down area mask. You can see what I've actually achieved just simply by turning off the local edit, and there it is. That's on, off, on, off, on. This is just mind-numbing, because we all know that as things get further away, they A, drop in contrast, and B, drop in saturation. We've now achieved the drop in contrast bit. How do you think we're going to achieve the drop in saturation? I am going to add another instance to the colour tone correction. But this time, I think I might just leave it as it is, and then just come to saturation, output, and just add some saturation to it. Alright, but of course that's gone across the entirety of the image. So what are we going to do? You guessed it. Area mask, open it up, graduated filter, gone the wrong way, angle 180 degrees, move it to about there, and Bob is your uncle, as they say. And so let's go back up and turn off the saturation, and then turn off the equalizer. So that's where we started. Well, it's not where we started, but that's as far as we got with the global adjustments. Now, as soon as we start bringing in the local edits, there's our one to get the full off in contrast with distance, and there is the one to, in effect, get our full off in saturation with distance. Just how simple is that? It's just mind-boggling. The last thing I'm going to do in this video is to show you a way of putting on a pseudo Orton effect. How freaky is that? Yes. You ready? Let's concertina or close down colour and tone correction, and let's go to local contrast. I'm not going to use or do anything really fancy with this, except just explain what goes on. This sort of equalizer curve here just adds a global overall contrast, and of course we can take it off the darks and off the lights and just keep that tonal increase in the mid-tones, but it just looks all horrible and photomaticsy. Yes, people who can remember that far back. But here's the thing, residual contrast. This smacks to me inside of RawTherapee as residual image, which is a resultant function of wavelets. And when you add the residual image back inside of RawTherapee, in certain circumstances it can lead to a bit of an Orton effect. And so I'm just going to increase residual contrast. Yeah, now if I take it all the way up, you just know by looking at that is an Orton effect. It's a very strong, very extreme Orton effect. Yep, but it is an Orton effect. Right, so just with it at its maximum, you can see it's across the entirety of the image. I do not want it anywhere except at the extreme front of the image. So while I've got it super strong, I'm going to introduce a mask. And again, we're going to go for an area mask, and we're going to activate it, and we are going to come in with, yeah, you guessed it, a graduated filter. And of course that's taken it off the bottom and left it at the top. I want it the other way round, and so we'll swing the angle round, and then we will place it where we want it, and then we might even just increase that feather a bit, yeah, and just touch it down just a smidge, a little bit like that. And then what we can do is, now we've got that mask in place, we can now go and turn it down so it's not quite as blooming obvious, yeah. And so there we go. One area mask equals one partial Orton effect on the front of the image. I'm just blown away. I don't know about you, I just find this so incredible. These CTL scripts that you can bring to bear inside local edits in art are just, they're just fabulous, because it's giving you the ability to bring parametric masks, colour similarity masks, which I still ain't got the hang of yet, not quite, area masks, in other words graduated filters, etc., and brush masking. You can basically bring that to bear on every normal non-local edit tool, on every global tool, as a local edit with masking. Freaky. Anyway, there you go. Listen guys, I hope you've got something out of that video. Thanks very much for watching. Art, yeah, I mean, it is just a very simple way of working, as opposed to trying to work in RawTherapee. Darktable has the advantage over RawTherapee because of local masking on virtually every module. Art, it like straddles the two in such a way that it makes it pretty much as good as Darktable, pretty much as good as Darktable, but without the monster learning curve. And I'll be quite honest with you, I just get the sneaking suspicion, the more I get my head around these CTL scripts, and the more CTL scripts that people might be able to make, because don't look at me because I can't make them, but honestly, I can see you being able to use pretty much every tool that is available for global adjustments inside out. I can see virtually every one of those being available to you as a local adjustment with masks under the local edit tab. In point of fact, I don't know why you just don't scrap everything and just keep the local edit tab and just put everything in there because it'd just be so much simpler. Anyway, guys, as I said, hope you've got something useful out of that. Alberto, honest, thumbs up, man. Awesome. So until the next time, guys, stay safe, stay well, keep taking the pictures, and I'll speak to you soon. See ya!